Who do you think you're really trying to wake up? And then all of a sudden, I knew that's what I do. I'm waking the dead, and it's everything is a conversation with this woman that has not been around, Theo, for 60 years. 60 years, which is way too long to be without a mom.
It's all a love story, isn't it, in a way?
It's all a love story.
Life.
Yeah.
You know, there's a musician, Stephen Wilson Jr., who's really great. He's a great poet. And he says that grief is only love that's got no place to go.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Man,
Well, just think about the energy, the propulsion of this loss, just for me, is, and also my father's sort of, he's the smartest guy I knew, but kind of a Maserati without a clutch, you know, looked really good, sounded boom, boom, really good, but couldn't get into first gear. That made me, you know, keep working. I mean, I've got 40 films, you know, I'm not stopping. All my friends are retiring, and I'm like, what? What's retiring? You know,
Yeah, you're drinking plasma at the house and taking electrolytes.
I got stuff to do. You know, if I were given 1,000 years to live, I would never run out of topics in American history. Yeah. This is sort of you know, I make films about the U.S., but I make films about us. You know what I mean?
Got you, yeah.
The lowercase, two-letter, plural pronoun, all of the intimacy of us and we and our, and all of the majesty, complexity, contradiction, and even controversy of the U.S. And it is a magnificent space to operate in. I feel incredibly lucky and privileged to have the responsibility, it's a huge responsibility, to dive into something like the Vietnam War, right now the American Revolution, which we just finished, and, you know, or the Civil War, or World War II, or the biographies we did. Huey Long, you know, we were talking about from your state of Louisiana, which is just like one of the great unknown stories. It's such an amazing story.
Yeah.
There he is. Good job.
Yeah, man. Oh, he was like, he was definitely a big...
He had amassed more personal power than anyone else in the history of the United States in a state context. He was both governor and United States senator, which is not legal. And he was already running for president against Franklin Roosevelt in 1936 when he was assassinated in September of 1935 in the State House in Baton Rouge, in the big, magnificent Art Deco State House he built as a kind of monument to himself when he was governor.
Yeah, kind of wild to build a monument while you're alive. And then it also immediately kind of turns into a mausoleum.
Yeah, exactly right.
Pretty wild how that works. Well, as children, we would go there and it was like a big part of the field trips and stuff like that when we were growing up in Louisiana. But yeah, there was something really amazing about him, that he riled the poor, but he also was able to operate with the elite. You know, you had but it was hard to know if he was just out for himself. That's how I felt at the end of
there's a kind of
watching your documentary.
Ultimate corruption of power, you know, and Jefferson said power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so I think Huey has that, but unlike all the other demagogues that we know, he actually did provide schools. He did provide school books. He did build bridges. He did pave roads so that the poor of Louisiana could bring their products to market. He did, create hospitals. He did do all the things that he said he was going to do, but he did it in a corrupt fashion and basically leveled, as the journalist I.F. Stone said in our film, all the liberties of the republic. You know, he was kind of like a Caesar who took charge and thought it was his right to destroy the democratic institutions that had more or less work. And so we have this woman from the Garden District in Louisiana, beautiful woman, to the manor born, and she says in the film, right in the first couple of minutes, there wasn't a Saturday night when we didn't talk about killing Huey Long. It didn't mean you were going to do it. You just wished there was some way to rid the state of this incubus, which is like an old, evil thing. And
because he wasn't born into wealth. So that's another thing. If you're not in that, if you're not part of that echelon, especially in a traditional area like New Orleans, like Louisiana, then you never really can get to those rungs of that ladder.
Well, it's really many different states, but certainly there's New Orleans, there's the Catholic South, there's the Protestant North, and he's from a wind parish in North Louisiana. dirt
nothing up there.
poor, and was able to articulate the aspirations of people who then surrendered to him, and then also had to then pay the price for the kind of dictatorial stuff. I mean, he was surrounded by jackbooted state troopers. He was, had bodyguards. He's eventually killed by the son-in-law of a judge that he fired, got out of his job. And so, or so we think,
Right.
Because with all, things like that, there's an attached conspiracy theory that maybe he didn't even have a gun. Carl Austin Weiss was his name. Maybe he didn't do anything except confront Huey about this, and that bodyguard shot him, and the ricocheting bullet in the close quarters of the hallway of the state house ricocheted and killed him. But we just don't know 100% what happened, but it's one hell of an American story.
Yeah. I love it, man. Yeah. I think one thing about documentaries is it makes people think that you feel cared about, I
Yes.
think the past feels cared about. And there's something that's very beautiful about that. The American Revolution, it's a new series. It comes out next month.
It comes out in November 16th. And I've been working on it when it comes out, it'll be 9 years and 11 months. I started it. I said yes to it when Barack Obama